What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about Norway's secret to Winter Olympics domination. Because now that Norway has once again proven that you guys create a lot of the world's best winter athletes, especially skiers. A lot of people are wondering, how do you guys do it? Including me. So today, I want to check out this video, which explains a lot about Norway's secret to dominating the Winter Olympics. So let's take a look.
Let's talk about Norway. They're the most dominant Winter Olympics nation of all time, and 2026 is no different. So, how do they do it? The answer is a little bit more interesting than you think. First, let's state the obvious. Norway has the perfect climate for winter sports.
Yes, this is what sticks out to me as probably the most obvious thing. Like, I think when most Americans, like, we stop and think, like, why Norwegians? Why are you guys so freaking good at this stuff? And you beat the United States in the Winter Olympics. Like, you got more medals than us. So we're like, is it the snow? Like, in Norway, you have more opportunity to practice. It's better for training. But is that the only thing? Like, I don't think so. Like, when you dominate the Winter Olympics like Norway has, like, this is not the first time, right? From what I understand, this is a normal thing for Norway to just win a lot of the Winter Olympic events and have the most medals, and that's something you guys have been doing for a while. So I don't think just having snow explains that level of consistent domination. So let's keep going.
That helps. Duh. But Sweden is cold and snowy too, and they don't
Yeah.
have half as many medals as Norway.
Yes, exactly. There are other countries where it's cold, where there's snow. If you go north enough in the United States, you can kind of get some snow sometimes, but so there's opportunity in many places around the world with snow, but we're not all like Norway, so that doesn't explain it.
Despite having 2x the population. It also goes without saying that Norwegians love winter sports. When Johannes Klæbo won the World Championships last year in Trondheim, an estimated 90% of the Norwegian population tuned in to watch.
Oh my God. I did a video reacting to Klæbo recently because he was like a big name in the Winter Olympics, and I didn't know about him till recently. I guess he's very, very famous and popular in Norway, obviously. Did they say 90% of Norway watched him at the World Championships? 90%. That might be a record in and of itself. Like, here in the US, we have the Super Bowl, our American football championship. And like 50% of Americans watch that. In Norway, 90%? That just shows how, like they said, how passionate you guys are. Very, very, very passionate about skiing, about winter sports. And so having that like ingrained in your culture, that's not even something you can really teach. That like transcends training. Like that attitude, that passion, that actually explains a lot for why there are so many amazing Norwegian winter skiers and winter athletes. This passion, that's not something you can teach. That's part of your culture.
That's bigger than the Super Bowl in America. But I'm not
Yeah.
entirely convinced that soft factors like passion can turn you into a Winter Olympics powerhouse. No,
Huh.
excellence in sports typically comes down to one thing: money. And when it comes to money, Norwegian's source of funding for sport comes from a very interesting source.
Money. Here, I was trying to like romanticize this a bit. Be like, yeah, Norwegians are passionate, and that certainly, I wouldn't count that out. That explains why probably a lot of Norwegians try these sports and why the best Norwegians are so dedicated and so passionate, like Klabo. Um, but at the end of the day, it all has to do with money. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of sports, a lot of sports come down to if you have the money to get the best training or the proper training or that yeah, unfortunately that does matter a lot.
Gambling. In Norway, the lottery and sports betting are controlled by a state monopoly. By law, that monopoly has to give 64% of its revenues to support sports in the country. That works out to $400 million a year.
Wait, what? Wait, what? What about gambling? Wait, the what? Let me see if I understand this. Norwegians' source of funding for like winter sport training comes from gambling?
From a very interesting source. Gambling. In Norway, the lottery and sports betting are controlled by a state monopoly. By law, that monopoly has to give 64% of its revenues to support sports in the country.
What? Norway has some of the most interesting policies I've ever heard of. I've never heard of that before. That's fascinating. That's cool. I mean, what a great use of that money. Because, like, gambling, companies that have a monopoly on gambling obviously just collect money automatically. So, putting that to use to fund winter sports training, gambling, this is a real thing. I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. I feel like we should do something like this. That's a very unique solution. Very interesting.
That works out to $400 million a year. And rather than using this money as stipends for elite athletes like many other countries do, Norway has spent it to build an absolute machine for churning out Olympic athletes over decades.
Oh.
They build facilities, they train coaches, they run youth leagues. They fund a vast network of local clubs that serve as the backbone for Norwegian sports culture.
So it's not just having the money, it's what you do with the money. Because like there's a lot of countries that have money. The United States, we have a ton of money. Like our government can just print money. That's not a problem. Like it's what you do with the money that's so smart. In Norway, you have cracked the code. Like so however you're using this money for coaching and training venues and different things, you have figured it out. I'm surprised nobody has tried to like copy this.
And as a result, the country has some of the best youth sports participation rates in the world. And they have an ecosystem for identifying talented athletes and turning them into world-class ones.
Wow. Yeah. Here in the US, it's kind of like you have to do a lot of the work to try to get yourself involved in sports, to get yourself noticed if you're any good. If you're really good, like naturally you will be like identified and scouted and if you're good enough. But Norway just seems to have made the whole process much easier, much more accessible, and it's amazing with your small population. This has obviously worked incredibly well. You have figured this out.
Like these guys.
Okay, I have one more video here I want to see. This is another video. So now I have a much better understanding of what's going on in Norway. You guys have thought this out. You take this seriously. I didn't know about the funding through gambling. That's very interesting. And they didn't go into a lot of the detail about the training and stuff like that, but you have a lot of money invested in a very, very good process for creating winter athletes. And Norway is the right climate, and it's all starting to make sense.
Every 4 years, a country with the population of Minnesota destroys the entire world at the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
These are the secrets to Norwegian dominance.
Crazy.
Norway has won the most gold medals and the most overall medals at the last 2 Olympics, and it's going to happen here again at the Milan Cortina Games.
You guys had the most medals in the last 2, now the last 3. The last 3 Winter Olympics. That is insane.
It's not just that all Norwegians are born on skis and skates. Norway's model for youth sports is the exact opposite of America's. Everyone plays sports, they don't specialize in one sport too early, they don't even bother keeping score until they're 13 years old. Then,
That's funny that they mentioned the United States. Yeah, here, you usually dedicate yourself to like 1 or 2 sports. And usually it's like baseball, soccer, football. There's other sports like hockey, golf, tennis, or but people certainly specialize pretty early, just based on what you think is fun. Or in Norway, they keep it very general, and they make sure like it is for fun, that it's for enjoyment. And in the US, we definitely have a culture of winning. Like, and you're told when you're a kid, even, like, you're not really supposed to put this much pressure on children, but let's be honest here, in the US, kids are really pressured to win and to be exceptional and to be unique. And that pressure can be damaging, I guess. This certainly makes me think so.
the country's elite athletes are selected for training academies where they have access to top coaches, top facilities, and the other elite athletes.
So you have a great process as kids for identifying these prospective athletes. Then they're sent off to this Norwegian winter athlete training machine, I guess. I'd like to see that.
Talent pipeline has been churning out Olympic athletes since the early 1990s, when Norway was responding to 2 disastrous Olympics in the 80s and before they hosted the Winter Olympics in 1994. And it really works. Just look at Olympic heroes like Johannes Høsflot Klæbo. Klæbo grew up in Norway playing multiple sports before choosing the one sport that he would come to dominate.
Is it Klæbo or Klabo? I don't know how to pronounce his name. But yeah, like, it's not just that you guys win a lot of medals. You, like, have some of the best of all time individuals.
Coached by his grandfather, he chose cross-country skiing in high school. And at the Milan Cortina Games, Klæbo became the athlete with the most gold medals in the history of the Winter Olympics, breaking a record held by 3 other people, all Norwegian.
No way. So at this point, you guys are just breaking your own records. I mean, you literally... There's no way anybody can criticize any of this. No one can critique it. We just have to sit back and be like, okay, Norway, how do you do it? Because obviously you have figured it out. It's undisputed. I have rarely seen a sport where it is so black and white, where it is so obvious who the best is, and everybody should just be like copying Norway, right? Or maybe there's more to it than that. Maybe it's not copyable. Maybe it has, like I was saying, something to do with your culture of skiing and winter, and I'm sure it does. But this was fascinating, and it certainly educated me. I can better understand how Norway does it, because at face value, it's mind-blowing. It's incomprehensible. It's unthinkable. Norway, like 5 million people, is this dominant against the rest of the world. But when you learn a little bit about how you're doing it, it starts to make sense. It's still incredible. It's still unbelievable. But there is a process to it. So anyway, If you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on, Norway's secret to Winter Olympics domination, especially if you are Norwegian and you understand and you have lived this. That would be really cool to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and seeing Norwegian things that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.